I was standing in the grocery store aisle when my phone started shaking in my hand. It was buzzing again and again, like it didn't want me to ignore it. I had just picked up a loaf of bread, the cheap one, the one I always bought. I looked at the screen and saw my son's name. I didn't smile. I hadn't smiled at his name in a long time. I let it ring once, twice. Then I answered. Mom, he said. His voice was tight, not angry, not kind either, just tight, like he had already decided something and didn't want to hear anything back. I'm at the store, I said. Is something wrong? There was a pause. In that pause, I felt something drop in my chest. I didn't know what yet, just that it was coming. We need to talk, he said. Today. I put the bread back on the shelf. Okay, I said. About what? Another pause. Longer this time. It's about the house, he said. I leaned against the cart. My fingers went numb. The house? I asked. Yes, he said. The house. We've been going over things, me and her, and we think it's time to make some changes. He didn't say her name. He never did anymore. He always said her. I swallowed. What kind of changes? He let out a breath like he was tired, like this was already too much work. Mom, he said, you can't keep living there. The aisle went quiet around me. I could hear my own breathing. I could hear a child crying somewhere far away. I could hear the hum of the freezers. I live there, I said slowly. That's my home. It was, he said. But things are different now. Different. That word had been following me for years. It always meant the same thing. I was being pushed out of something I helped build. I don't understand, I said. We never talked about this. We're talking about it now, he said. We've talked enough, Mom. This has been hard on her. There it was. The reason. Always the reason. What does that mean? I asked. Hard on her how? He sighed. She feels like there's no space. Like we can't move forward with our life while you're still there. I closed my eyes. I stay in my room, I said. I cook my own food. I don't get in the way. That's not the point, he said. It's the feeling. The feeling. I wanted to laugh. I wanted to scream. Instead, I said, and what about me? There was silence on the other end. Real silence this time. Not a pause. Not a breath. Just nothing. Finally, he said, you'll have to figure something out. I felt my legs give a little. I grabbed the cart harder. Figure something out. I repeated. Yes, he said. We can help you look for a place. Something small. Or maybe you can stay with your sister. My sister lives 3 states away. I said. I know, he said. But you're strong. You'll manage. Strong. That word used to mean something good. Now it felt like a way to avoid responsibility. When? I asked. Soon, he said. We were thinking by the end of the month. The end of the month. That was 2 weeks away. I looked down at my hands. They were shaking. That house, I said, is in my name. He didn't answer right away. Mom, he said carefully, we've talked about this. No, I said. We haven't. Yes, we have, he said. You said you'd transfer it when we got married. I felt a cold line run down my back. I said I would help you. I said. I never signed anything. Another pause. Well, he said, the paperwork says otherwise. The store lights felt too bright. My stomach turned. What paperwork? I asked. He cleared his throat. The deed. I couldn't speak. It's already done, he said. That's why this conversation is happening now. We wanted to be honest. Honest. I hung up the phone. I don't remember leaving the store. I don't remember driving home. I only remember sitting at my kitchen table later, staring at the wall, hearing his words over and over again. The paperwork says otherwise. I had lived in that house for 32 years. I raised my son there. I worked 2 jobs to keep it. I paid every bill, every repair, every tax, and now, according to paperwork I had never seen, it wasn't mine anymore. I walked down the hallway to my room. I opened the small metal box where I kept my important papers, birth certificates, insurance forms, old receipts I never threw away. The deed was gone. I sat on the bed and held the empty box in my lap. My hands were cold. My mouth was dry. I thought of the day my son brought her home for the first time. She smiled politely. She looked around the house like she was measuring it, like she was already planning something. I shook my head. No, not now. Not backstory. Not yet. Right now. I needed air. I stepped outside into the yard. The grass needed cutting. The fence leaned a little on the left side, Things I had planned to fix when I had the time. A car pulled into the driveway. It was them. They got out together. He walked a step ahead of her, like he always did. Now, she followed, her hand on her belly, not pregnant, just resting there, like a claim. Mom, he said when he saw me. His voice was softer in person. It always was. We should talk, she said. She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. I crossed my arms. You already talked, I said. You told me to leave my own house, our house, she corrected gently. I looked at my son. Is that true? I asked. Did you sign something without me? He looked at the ground. She helped me understand, he said. You said you wanted us to be secure, I said. Or in control? Her smile faded a little. That's not fair, she said. We've done nothing wrong. Then show me the deed, I said. She glanced at him. He nodded. She pulled a folder from her bag. Neat, organized, planned. She handed it to me. My name was there. My signature was there, or something that looked like it. My knees almost gave out. That's not my handwriting, I said. It is, she said calmly. You signed it last year. I didn't, I said. I would remember. You were tired, she said. You trusted us. I looked at my son. Did I sign this? He didn't answer right away. Mom, he said finally, you've been forgetting things. That hurt more than anything else. I forget where I put my keys, I said. I don't forget signing away my home. He shifted his weight. We didn't want to hurt you. But you did, I said. You took something from me. She stepped forward. You're not losing anything, she said. We're just moving forward. Without me, I said. She didn't deny it. The air felt heavy. The house behind us felt smaller already, like it was pulling away from me. I need time, I said. I need to see a lawyer. Her eyes hardened for just a second. Then the smile came back. Of course, she said. Take your time. But the move-out date still stands. I watched them walk inside my house. I stayed in the yard. That was the moment I understood something very clearly. My son had chosen his wife over me, and whatever he thought he was gaining, he had already started to lose something much bigger. When the door closed behind them, I stayed where I was. I didn't follow. I didn't shout. I didn't cry. Not yet. I just stood in the yard, listening to the sounds of my own house being used by people who no longer saw it as mine. I sat down on the old plastic chair near the fence, the one my son used to sit on when he was a teenager, sulking after arguments. The chair creaked under my weight. Everything felt older now, including me. I tried to slow my breathing. In and out, slow, careful, like I was afraid even breathing too hard might push me out of this place faster. That night, I didn't sleep. I lay in my bed, staring at the ceiling, replaying years of my life that I had never thought I would need to defend. Moments I had given freely, choices I had made without keeping score. I thought back to when my son was born. I was 23. His father left before the hospital bills were paid. He said he wasn't ready. I didn't chase him. I didn't beg. I just worked. I worked mornings cleaning offices, nights at a diner. I slept when my son slept. I learned how to stretch meals, how to sew buttons back on shirts, how to fix a leaky sink with a borrowed wrench and a prayer. That house wasn't always a house. When I bought it, it was barely standing. One bathroom, cracked walls, a roof that leaked every time it rained. But it was mine, and it was safe. My son grew up running through those halls, falling, laughing, slamming doors when he was angry, apologizing later always. I never once thought to protect myself from him. The next morning, I woke up early. Old habit. Even after retirement, my body didn't know how to sleep in. I made coffee, weak, no sugar. I watched the steam rise and disappear. They came down to breakfast together. She kissed his cheek. He smiled at her. I noticed how he didn't look at me right away. Morning, I said. Morning, he replied. She nodded. Good morning. We sat at the same table, the same one I bought secondhand 20 years ago. The legs were uneven. I had fixed that with folded paper. No one spoke for a while. Finally, he said, we'll be out most of the day, okay? I said. She picked at her toast. We're looking at apartments. For you. I nodded. I told you I want to talk to a lawyer first. Her jaw tightened. We're just preparing. For what? I asked. For the transition, she said. Transition. Another soft word. Another push. After they left, I cleaned the kitchen. Slowly, I touched things like I was saying goodbye without admitting it. I went through old boxes in the closet, photo albums, school papers, a crayon drawing of me with big eyes and a crooked smile. It said Mom in shaky letters. I held it for a long time. I remembered when he was 12 and broke his arm falling off his bike. He cried into my shirt, saying he was sorry for being stupid. I told him accidents happen. I told him he didn't need to be sorry. I wondered when that changed. That afternoon, I called my sister. I hadn't told her anything yet. I didn't want to worry her. She listened quietly as I explained. They forged your signature? She asked. I don't know, I said. But I didn't sign it. You need a lawyer, she said. Immediately, I know, and you don't need to move, she added. Not yet. Her voice was firm, protective. It made my chest ache. That night, I ate alone. They came home late, laughing, carrying bags. I didn't ask what they found. Days passed like that, quiet, tense, polite on the surface, heavy underneath. I started noticing things I hadn't before. How she moved things around. How she threw out my old mugs without asking. How my son stopped telling me where he was going. I started feeling like a guest in my own life. I remembered when he first met her. He was so excited, nervous. He asked me what shirt to wear. He asked if she would like the house. I cleaned all day before she came. She brought flowers. I thought that meant something. When they started dating seriously, he spent less time at home. That was normal. I told myself that was normal. I didn't want to be the kind of mother who clings. When they got engaged, he asked if they could stay with me for a while to save money. I said yes without hesitation. Of course. This was their home too. I didn't ask for rent. I didn't ask for help with bills. I thought love was enough. The day they moved in, she looked around again. That same measuring look. I ignored it. Over time, she started suggesting changes. New paint, new furniture. I agreed to some. Not all. She didn't like that. She started saying things like, we need our own space, and it's hard to feel like adults here. I tried to give them space. I stayed in my room more. I made myself smaller. I didn't realize I was training them to live without me. The lawyer's office smelled like old books and coffee. He was kind, calm. He listened. This is serious, he said, looking at the copy of the deed. If that signature isn't yours, we can challenge it. How long will it take? I asked. Time, he said. And patience. I nodded. I had both. Or at least I thought I did. When I got home, she was waiting for me. Did you see a lawyer? She asked. Yes, I said. She smiled tightly. Good. Then you'll understand how things work. What things? I asked. Ownership, she said. Responsibility. I looked at my son. Do you think this is right? He rubbed his face. I just want peace, he said. I almost laughed. Peace. At what cost? That night, I packed a small bag. Not to leave. Just to feel like I had control over something. I didn't tell them. I started writing things down. Dates, conversations, little changes. I didn't know why. Just a feeling. Weeks earlier, I had found a document on the printer and thought nothing of it. I had signed something quickly, trusting them. A refinancing paper, they said. Maybe that was it. Maybe that was when everything changed. Trust can be very expensive. One evening, I overheard them talking in their room. The door wasn't fully closed. She won't win, she said. She's old. She won't fight. My son didn't answer right away. She'll come around, he said finally. She always does. That hurt more than the house. More than the papers. More than the threats. I realized then that this wasn't just about money, or space, or paperwork. It was about who mattered more. And for the first time in my life, I wasn't sure it was me. After that night, something shifted inside me. Not loudly. Not all at once. It was quiet. Like a small crack that slowly spread. I stopped trying to explain myself. I stopped reminding my son of the past. Of what I gave. Of what I lost so he could have more. I could see now that those memories didn't carry the same weight for him. They were old stories. Mine, not his. Instead, I watched. I watched how decisions were made without me. How my name was used when I wasn't in the room. How plans were spoken like facts. I learned how silence could be used like a wall. She was careful. I'll give her that. She never raised her voice. Never insulted me directly. Everything she said sounded reasonable, calm, concerned. Mom seems confused lately, she would say to him. Not to me. Maybe we should help her manage things, she would add. Help. Another soft word. My son started repeating those phrases. Not exactly, but close enough that I knew where they came from. You've been under a lot of stress, he told me one evening. Maybe you don't remember things clearly. I looked at him. Really looked at him. His face still had the same shape as when he was a boy, but his eyes didn't meet mine. I remember enough, I said. He nodded, but I could tell he didn't believe me. Or maybe he didn't want to. They started controlling small things first. Mail stopped coming to my name. I noticed when a bill I always paid didn't arrive. When I asked, she said she had switched everything to online to make it easier. For who? I asked. For everyone, she said. She took over the calendar, appointments, repairs. She said it was better that way. Less confusion. I started feeling like I was fading while still standing in the room. Some days, I questioned myself. I wondered if I really had signed something and forgotten. If maybe I was holding on too tightly. If maybe this was just what happens when children grow up. But then there were moments that were too clear to ignore, like the day I found my old files gone from the cabinet, replaced with neatly labeled folders in her handwriting. Or the time my son spoke to me, slowly, carefully, like I was fragile. We just want what's best for you, he said. I wanted to ask when that became something I no longer got to decide. The lawyer told me to stay calm, to document everything, to not move out under any pressure. They want you gone because it makes their case easier, he said. That sentence stayed with me. At home, the pressure increased. She started leaving brochures on the table. Senior housing, assisted living, places with smiling older people on the cover, just options, she said lightly. I pushed them aside without a word. My son stopped eating dinner with me. He said he was busy, tired, work stress. I knew better. At night, I lay awake listening to the house, to footsteps that no longer came to my door, to laughter that didn't include me. I felt small, but I also felt something else growing underneath, a quiet resolve, not anger, not revenge, just clarity. I started spending time outside the house, library, park, lawyer's office, anywhere I could think. The library. I learned about forgery, about elder abuse, about how often it starts exactly like this. Soft voices, family members, paperwork. I felt sick reading it, and relieved, because it meant I wasn't imagining things. One afternoon, I came home earlier than usual. They didn't hear me come in. I stood in the hallway and listened. She won't last, she was saying. Once the judge sees her age, it's done. My son sounded tired. She's my mother, and this is our future, she replied. You promise me? I walked into the room. They both jumped. We need to talk, I said. They sat. I stood. I know you think I'm weak, I said, or confused, or scared. She opened her mouth, but I raised my hand. But I'm still here, I said. And I know what you're doing. My son looked pained. Mom, I trusted you, I said. That was my mistake, not my weakness. She crossed her arms. No one is attacking you. You took my home, I said. You tried to erase me from my own life. She smiled thinly. We're just trying to move forward. I am too, I said. Just not quietly. After that, the house became colder. They stopped pretending. She stopped speaking to me unless necessary. My son spoke through her, even when I was right there. The lawyer filed papers, motions, requests. Everything took time. They grew impatient. One morning, she told me movers were coming. Just to move some of my things. To make space. I stood in the doorway and said no. She stared at me like I had surprised her. You don't have authority, I said. She laughed. We'll see. That was the moment I knew this was no longer just a family issue. It was a fight, and I was done backing away. The morning the letter arrived, it didn't look important, just another envelope, mixed in with grocery ads and a bank notice. Plain, white, my name typed cleanly across the front. But my hands knew before my eyes did. I sat at the table and opened it slowly. Inside were copies of documents I had never seen before. Not just the deed, not just signatures. There were forms, affidavits, statements made in my name, claims about my mental state. According to those papers, I was confused, forgetful, unable to manage my own affairs. I felt something tighten in my chest. Not panic, not fear, betrayal, clear and sharp. One document listed a date I remembered clearly. The day they said I had agreed to transfer ownership permanently. The day I had been at my doctor's appointment across town. I still had the receipt in my purse. I always kept receipts. That was when I understood something important. This wasn't a misunderstanding. It was planned. I took the papers to my lawyer that same day. He didn't look surprised. They've gone too far, he said quietly. He pointed to several sections. These statements here, these are serious claims, and they require proof. They don't have proof, I said. No, he replied. But we do. He asked me to bring everything I had. Old records, bank statements, medical history, anything that showed I was capable. A life lived clearly. So I did. I spent days pulling together years of evidence. Doctor visits that showed no cognitive issues. Financial records that showed I paid every bill. Emails, text messages, notes written in my handwriting, steady and consistent. Each paper felt like reclaiming a piece of myself. At home, the tension became unbearable. They knew something had shifted. She watched me closely now, asked too many questions, tried to sound kind again. You look tired, she said one evening. This is a lot for you. I'm fine, I replied. My son barely spoke to me at all. When the court notice arrived, everything changed. There would be a hearing, a real one, with a judge. She lost her calm after that. You're tearing this family apart, she said, her voice sharp for the first time. Do you know what this is doing to him? I looked at my son. He looked exhausted, smaller somehow. You did this, I said softly. Not me. The night before the hearing, I slept better than I had in weeks. Not because I wasn't afraid, but because I wasn't alone in my own mind anymore. The courtroom was quiet, neutral, no drama, just facts. They sat on one side, together. I sat on the other, alone, but steady. My lawyer spoke. First, calm, clear. He laid everything out, dates, signatures, inconsistencies. He showed how my supposed decline didn't match any medical record. How the signature on the deed didn't match dozens of others. Then it was their turn. She spoke with confidence at first. About concern, about care, about wanting to protect me. The judge listened. Then the questions came. Simple ones. Where was I on the day I signed? Why was there no witness present? Why were there no medical evaluations supporting their claims? Her answers began to crack. My son was asked to speak. He stood slowly. His hands were shaking. I just wanted peace, he said. The judge nodded. Peace doesn't come from taking without consent. That sentence landed like a stone. When the ruling came, it was quiet. The deed was invalid. The claims were dismissed. The attempt to remove me from my home was denied. My house was mine, fully, clearly, legally. I didn't smile. I didn't cry. I just breathed. Outside the courtroom, she didn't look at me. My son did. I didn't know how far it had gone, he said. Yes, you did, I replied. You just didn't stop it. He nodded slowly, like someone seeing something too late. I moved back into my life after that, not loudly, not with celebration, just with boundaries. They moved out within a month. The house felt empty at first, then peaceful. I changed the locks. I replanted the garden. I sat in the yard again, in the same chair, feeling the ground steady beneath me. My son calls sometimes, not often. Our relationship is different now, honest, careful, smaller, but real. What he lost wasn't money. It was trust, and some things don't grow back once they're cut. After they moved out, the house stayed quiet in a way I wasn't used to. Not the lonely kind of quiet. Not at first. It was the kind that settles after a long storm, when everything has been knocked around, but the air finally feels still again. I walked through each room slowly, not to check what was missing, just to remind myself that I could, that I didn't have to ask, that no one would question why I opened a drawer or moved a chair. I slept in my own bed with the door open. That mattered more than I expected. For weeks, I kept waking up early, my body still tense, like something was about to happen, like I needed to be ready to defend myself again. But nothing came. No papers, no threats, no soft voices trying to guide me somewhere I didn't want to go. Just mornings, just coffee, just time. People think justice always looks loud. A moment, a speech, someone walking away while the other person finally understands what they lost. But most of the time, justice is quiet. It looks like eating breakfast without fear. It looks like opening mail without your hands shaking. It looks like knowing you won't be pushed out of your own life. Again, I didn't throw away everything they left behind right away. Some of it sat in boxes by the door: shoes, a jacket, a few things my son forgot. I waited for him to come get them. When he finally did, he came alone. He stood in the doorway like he didn't know if he was welcome. "You can come in," I said. He stepped inside slowly, looked around. The house already felt different to him, like it no longer belonged to his memories the way it used to. We didn't hug, we sat at the table. "I'm sorry," he said. Not quickly, not casually, like he had practiced saying it and still wasn't sure it was enough. "I know," I said. He looked surprised. "You do?" "Yes," I said. "You're sorry now, after?" He nodded. "I didn't think it would go that far. That's the problem," I said. "You didn't think?" He looked down at his hands. "She made it sound reasonable." "I know," I said again. That was the last time I explained anything. I didn't list my sacrifices. I didn't remind him of what I gave up. I didn't describe the nights I lay awake wondering if I would lose everything. He already knew, and if he didn't, it wasn't my job to teach him anymore. Before he left, he asked, "Can we still be family?" I thought about it carefully. "We are," I said. "But it's not the same shape it was before." He nodded. That answer hurt him, but it was honest. After that, we spoke less. But when we did, it was real. No pretending, no pressure, no expectations. I started doing things for myself again. Small things. I repainted my bedroom, the color I always wanted, but never chose because someone else might not like it. I took a class at the community center. Nothing big, just something to get out of the house. I reconnected with friends I hadn't seen in years. Women who understood silence, who didn't rush me. Sometimes, late at night, the memories still came back, the words she used, the way my son looked away, the moment I realized I had been underestimated. But those memories didn't control me anymore. They reminded me of how easily trust can be taken, and how important it is to protect yourself, even from the people you love, especially from the people you love. One afternoon, I found the old drawing again. The one with the crooked smile and the big eyes. Mom written in shaky letters. I didn't feel sad when I looked at it. I felt proud. I had done my job. I raised a child. I gave him roots. I gave him a place to stand. What he chose to do with, that was his responsibility. Losing money would have been painful. Losing my home would have been devastating. But what he lost was something else. He lost the version of me who would always step back to make room, who would always stay quiet, to keep the peace, who would always give, even when it hurt. That version of me stayed in the past. The woman who remained knew her worth, and she wasn't going anywhere.